stopped me short in speaking. All the herbs he left to me, and all the bacon curing, and when it was best to kill a pig, and how to treat the maidens. Not that I would ever wish. Oh, John, it seems so strange to me, and last week you were everything." Here mother burst out crying again, not loudly, but turning quietly, because she knew that no one now would ever care to wipe the tears. And 50 or 100 things, of weekly and daily happening, came across my mother, so that her spirit fell like slackening lime. "This matter must be seen to. It shall be seen to at once," the old man answered, moved a little in spite of all his knowledge. "Madam, if any wrong has been done, trust the honour of a Doone. I will redress it to my utmost. Come inside and rest yourself, while I ask about it. What was your good husband's name, and when and where fell this mishap?" "Deary me," said mother, as he set a chair for her, very polite, but she would not sit upon it. "Saturday morning I was a wife, sir, and Saturday night I was a widow, and my children fatherless. My husband's name was John Ridd, sir, as everybody knows, and there was not a finer or better man in Somerset or Devon. He was coming home from Porlock market, and a new gown for me on the crupper, and a shell to put my hair up. Oh, John, how good you were to me!" Of that she began to think again, and not to believe her sorrow, except as a dream from the evil one, because it was too bad upon her; and perhaps she would awake in a minute, and her husband would have the laugh of her. And so she wiped her eyes and smiled, and looked for something. "Madam, this is a serious thing," Sir Ensor Doone said graciously, and showing grave concern. "My boys are a little wild, I know. And yet I cannot think that they would willingly harm any one. And yet you do look wronged. Send Counsellor to me," he shouted, from the door of his house. And down the valley went the call, "Send Counsellor to Captain." Counsellor Doone came in ere yet my mother was herself again. And if any sight could astonish her when all her sense of right and wrong was gone astray with the force of things, it was the sight of the Counsellor. A square-built man of enormous strength, but a foot below the Doone stature, which I shall describe hereafter. He carried a long gray beard descending to the leather of his belt. Great eyebrows overhung his face like ivy on a pollard oak, and under them 2 large brown eyes, as of an owl when muting. And he had a power of hiding his eyes, or showing them bright, like a blazing fire. He stood there with his beaver off, and mother tried to look at him, but he seemed not to descry her. "Counsellor," said Sir Ensor Doone, standing back in his height from him, "here is a lady of good repute—" "Oh, no, sir, only a woman." "Allow me, madam, by your good leave. Here is a lady, Counsellor, of great repute in this part of the country, who charges the Doones with having unjustly slain her husband." "Murdered him! Murdered him!" cried my mother. "If ever there was a murder! Oh, sir, you know it." "The perfect rights and truth of the case is all I wish to know," said the old man very loftily, "and justice shall be done, madam." "Oh, I pray you, sirs, make no matter of business of it. God from heaven look on me." "Put the case," said the Counsellor. "The case is this," replied Sir Ensor, holding one hand up to mother. "This lady's worthy husband was slain, it seems, upon his return from the market at Porlock, no longer ago than last Saturday night. Madam, amend me if I am wrong." "No longer, indeed, sir. Sometimes it seems a twelvemonth, and sometimes it seems an hour." "Cite his name," said the Counsellor, with his eyes still rolling inwards. "Master John Ridd, as I understand. Counsellor, we have heard of him often. A worthy man and a peaceful one, who meddled not with our duties. Now, if any of our boys have been rough, they shall answer it dearly. And yet I can scarce believe it; for the folk about these parts are apt to misconceive of our sufferings, and to have no feeling for us. Counsellor, you are our record, and very stern against us. Tell us how this matter was." "Oh, Counsellor," my mother cried, "Sir Counsellor, you will be fair; I see it in your countenance. Only tell me who it was, and set me face to face with him, and I will bless you, sir, and God shall bless you and my children." The square man with the long gray beard, quite unmoved by anything, drew back to the door and spoke, and his voice was like a fall of stones in the bottom of a mine. "Few words will be enow for this. 4 or 5 of our best behaved and most peaceful gentlemen went to the little market at Porlock with a lump of money. They bought some household stores and comforts at a very high price, and pricked upon the homeward road, away from vulgar revellers. When they drew bridle to rest their horses, in the shelter of a peat rick, the night being dark and sudden, a robber of great size and strength rode into the midst of them, thinking to kill or terrify. His arrogance and hardihood at the first amazed them, but they would not give up without a blow goods which were on trust with them. He had smitten 3 of them senseless, for the power of his arm was terrible, whereupon the last man tried to ward his blow with a pistol. Carver, sir, it was, our brave and noble Carver, who saved the lives of his brethren and his own, and glad enow they were to escape. Notwithstanding, we hoped it might be only a flesh wound, and not to speed him in his sins." As this atrocious tale of lies turned up joint by joint before her, like a devil's coach horse, mother was too much amazed to do any more than look at him, as if the earth must open. But the only thing that opened was the great brown eyes of the Counsellor, which rested on my mother's face with a dew of sorrow, as he spoke of sins. Author's note on Devil's Coach Horse. The cock-tailed beetle has earned this name in the west of England. She, unable to bear them, turned suddenly on Sir Ensor, and caught, as she fancied, a smile on his lips, and a sense of quiet enjoyment. "All the Doones are gentlemen," answered the old man gravely, and looking as if he had never smiled since he was a baby. "We are always glad to explain, madam, any mistake which the rustic people may fall upon about us. And we wish you clearly to conceive that we do not charge your poor husband with any set purpose of robbery, neither will we bring suit for any attainder of his property. Is it not so, Counsellor?" "Without doubt his land is attainted, unless is mercy you forbear, sir." "Counsellor, we will forbear. Madam, we will forgive him. Like enough he knew not right from wrong, at that time of night. The waters are strong at Porlock, and even an honest man may use his staff unjustly in this unchartered age of violence and rapine." The Doones to talk of rapine! Mother's head went round so that she curtsied to them both, scarcely knowing where she was, but calling to mind her manners. All the time she felt a warmth, as if the right was with her, and yet she could not see the way to spread it out before them. With that she dried her tears in haste, and went into the cold air, for fear of speaking mischief. But when she was on the homeward road, and the sentinels had charge of her, blinding her eyes, as if she were not blind enough with weeping, some one came in haste behind her, and thrust a heavy leathern bag into the limp weight of her hand. "Captain sends you this," he whispered. "Take it to the little ones." But mother let it fall in a heap, as if it had been a blind worm, and then for the first time crouched before God, that even the Doones should pity her. End of chapter 4. Recording by Michelle Harris.